Welcome to this neighborhood, neighbor.
I am the Martian ambassador.
Des Moines and all of Central Iowa, welcome to Mac's World Live. Mac's World is your world. Every day we talk about the issues and topics that matter most to you. And as always, it's your voice we want to hear in Mac's World. So join the conversation by calling 515-244-0077. And now, here's the host of Mac's World Live, J. Michael McCoy.
Good afternoon. 6 minutes after 4 o'clock on the 4th day of March in the Lord's year 2016. I'm J. Michael McCoy. Thanks for joining us today. It's the Friday edition of Mac's World Live. Always 15% more fun on Friday. Ryan is producing. Chris Roloff and Bob Montserrat, the cat in the hat, watching the chat in the co-host chair.
It's cozy over here.
What do you mean it's cozy over there?
Over on the left side of you, it's nice. We cuddle. Bob and I, we sit real close, and we share a laptop screen.
It's warm. My computer puts out heat.
Yeah, it's cuddly.
You are. All right, and in a minute, I'm going to go to Ashley Foreman, who is a youth leader at First Church of the Open Bible services at 10 o'clock, and we're going to talk about kids. And she's kind of a, is it okay? You're kind of a kid yourself.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
You're 24.
Yeah, I'm a big kid.
Yeah. But I had a little short conversation with her this morning just to find out what she was passionate about and what she experiences, what the view that God gives her of middle school children is really kind of cool, and they trust her, and so she knows things. I don't want you to give up any confidences today. I don't want any names or anything like that, okay? Mm-hmm. But I do want to know where these kids' hearts are, and most importantly, what can we do? What can we, the other members of the church? I mean, all of a sudden, before my very eyes, I've gotten old. You know, and you'll find that happens, Bob, right? I feel like you do inside. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that makes any sense, Ashley.
You mean as far as being youthful?
Yeah, I feel youthful.
Yeah, sure.
I want to experience new things. I still feel feelings for my wife after all these years that I feel like I did when I was 24 and all this stuff. But I look in the mirror and all my brown hair has gone gray. And sometimes I look at my hands and I just can't believe these are my hands because these were my grandpa's hands. These were not my hands. And so that also tells me the times have changed because these kids are actually 2 generations away from me. My youngest daughter is older than you are. And my oldest grandson is about to turn 18. And then I've got a 16-year-old and I've got an 11-year-old or almost 12-year-old grandson. And then I've got a 5, an 8, and newborn. So I'll be real interested to having you share with us what's going on over there, and I appreciate that. All right, you have from the Service Legends Truth Text line,
yes,
which is 515-809-0993, a rather lengthy but important question for believers about Donald Trump. And usually I wouldn't go back and hit a topic that we're done with, but this person took the time to write this text, and I think this person deserves an answer, or at least our thoughts on this. So, Bob, go ahead.
Okay, just curious. I'm a strong believer in Jesus Christ and believe our Lord and Savior works in mysterious ways that we don't understand. I've heard much bashing of Trump, whether he is Christian, etc. How do we know whether he is running on what he thought was his own idea, but is really God's idea and his way of getting a hold of Trump? Aside from all the bickering and foolishness of the candidates, one thing I noticed of Trump last night is that he does admit things he has said and why he has changed his thoughts, perspective on the matter. Is that God moving him? Do you believe he is willing to change? Have you seen any changes in him that the public has brought to his attention, like changing his foul language? You would rarely hear of a Democrat doing that. They lie through their teeth until they are caught. Rubio has proved that he sways with what he thinks best to do to gain public approval. He is out in my book, like chaff that blows the direction of the wind. Sad, because I originally liked him.
That is, like I said, I very rarely go back to last hour's topic, especially when I have a guest sitting in front of me. And Ashley, pardon us, but this is important. This listener put that very well. And you're right. He or she has a good point. Trump has learned. We've watched him learn. Just like you watch a new Christian learn, and in the beginning, you wish they had a mute button because, they're all excited about what Jesus is doing with them, but they really don't know when those people who have been around a lot longer are sometimes critical and judgmental, and that's the last thing you want to do. But I was that way, so, I know that. But, there's another thing that we have to remember here. And that's a young man by the name of Bob Vanderplaats. Bob Vanderplaats has been a personal friend of Donald Trump's for many, many, many years. And Bob Vanderplaats has preached the gospel to Trump, Donald, several times. And what if that's God's plan? That before our very eyes, he will transform Donald Trump from a cultural Christian or whatever you want to call them to a Jesus follower. And we would watch that before our very eyes, and then think of that type of power in the White House that we'd have to change hearts. Because all we have to do is change hearts in this country. We don't really care who's elected to what, when, where, and how, and what party they're in. If we could change everybody's heart to love Jesus and to follow his ways in acting with other people in our marriages and our families and our children and at work and our politics, it wouldn't matter if you had a D or an R behind your name, because you would be following the party of God. I have a buddy of mine who says, I'm not a Republican anymore. I'm from the party of God. And I like that. I think that's good. And Donald has somebody in Bob Vanderplaats that he will listen to and he will trust.
Well, I think, referring to our president now, Obama, that was my hope. That maybe when he was in office, and that may have been the hope of other people, that he would change and he would find God in a different way. And that would have, influenced his presidency. But I didn't see that occur.
Well, yeah.
I'm just saying that was a hope, and I think that's a hope of every president that's in office, that, they would find the Lord in a big way. So, so that would be a hope also for Trump.
And we talk about changing the world.
Well, I think it would be a hope for Donald Trump. It'd be a hope for Hillary Clinton. It'd be a hope for Bernie Sanders. It'd be a hope for Timbuktu. As people.
I didn't know Timbuktu was a person. I thought that was a zip code.
It's a place. Yeah, you're right.
Let me think about that.
Hey, you know what? You can name your kids whatever you want, though. I guess so. We could have a child and name it Timbuktu if we wanted to.
Next kid you have, I want you to call him Timbuktu.
I wouldn't do that. So I appreciate your point, though, Mac, and I think. But, I think of Saul, right? God knew, I'm talking about the Bible now, here in 1 Samuel. Okay, when God appointed Saul to be king of Israel, it is because Israel wanted a king. And God selected a king and gave them what they wanted. He gave them exactly the kind of king that they wanted. He's wealthy. He was beautiful. He was great. He was exactly what they wanted. And he used Saul to discipline them, to correct the nation of Israel. And then he gave them David, which ultimately gave us Jesus, who is the rightful king of the universe. But I think of that, and I know as Christians we look to whoever is going to be nominated as president. And I want to say this to myself as much as I say this to anybody else. We need to be really careful that we don't put our confidence in that we don't put our confidence in whoever is going to be the next president of the United States, because it doesn't matter. It matters. It has consequences. There's implications. Just like Saul being the king of the nation of Israel, there are consequences to that. But I think we must first have our hope in Jesus Christ. And my hope is, through this process, that conservatives like myself, who have probably hoped too much in the Republican Party, wake up and go, you know what? They can't give us what we really want. The Republican Party cannot give us what we really want. Only Jesus can give us what we want. And it really doesn't matter who's in the White House, although there is impact on our lives and our livelihoods, and the government affects what I can and can't do. And it is important, and we should be involved in the process. But I'm just saying our hope should be in Jesus, no matter who gets elected.
I'm going to steal this from my pastor, so anybody that goes to Hope knows that I didn't invent this, but this is a great visual. Okay, so most people have been in Merle Hay Mall. It's huge. Square footage-wise, it's just huge. And we're on the 6th floor of the tower. If we took a piece of twine and wrapped it around Merle Hay Mall from the corner of Merle Hay and Douglas to the corner of where the pancake place is over there, all the way down there to where Dunkin' Donuts is now, and that whole piece of land that is Merle Hay Mall, because it's also Felix and Oscar's and it's Hobby Lobby and all that. And that was eternity. And then we took a piece of that twine, and with a magic marker, we just made a tiny little mark. That's the time that we're going to be here on the earth. That's how insignificant who president is. Because for all of eternity, Chris just said it, it's Jesus Christ, it's our king, and he's the only president, he's the only party that we need to follow. And that little mark should show us how insignificant our lives are, including the time for the United States of America. There's going to be some people that don't want to hear this, but it may be time for the United States of America to take a hit. We've been around. Usually democracies don't last this long. Something horrible happens, and the devil comes in and takes over. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But we have to remember that in that eternity, in a relationship with God, we are but a flip of an eye. We are but an eyelash in God's plan, and he will have us in his arms for all of eternity. So last night's debate, who becomes president, it doesn't really matter. Chris, you're right. It doesn't really matter. All right, when we come back, Ashley Foreman, youth leader at the First Church of the Open Bible, services at 10 a.m. What are middle schoolers going through? I've got 3 middle schoolers as grandchildren, and I'm not even sure I can answer that. So we'll let the boss answer. She's here. You're next, and I thank you for listening to The Truth.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah!
If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
Hey everybody, I brought Northern Lights Pizza! And it's got Graziano sausage!
Rock and Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens. Rock on. This is Pat McManus for Rock and Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast 1 Live.
Good afternoon, 21 minutes after 4 o'clock, 4:21 in the afternoon, fourth day of March in the Lord's year 2016. I'm J. Michael McCoy. This is Mac's World. You hear this program every day on this new radio station called The Truth, 99.3. Depending on who you ask, they'll tell you what this radio station is in different ways. Someone will tell you that we have this unbelievable depth in our bench, using a sports term, and some of the greatest pastors and preachers of all time, not only locally, but also nationally. Some would tell you that this is just good conservative talk. Oh, and every once in a while they get to say Jesus' name. And it doesn't sound weird on that station like it does on 1040 or it did on 98.3 or whatever it was. And then there would be those that would tell you that, very humbly, that this is a station that Jesus protects. Because he's the most important person here. It's not the revenue. It's not the ratings. It's him. The president of our company, I love that man, Stu Epperson Jr., will tell you on the phone. He just told me this several weeks ago. Hey, the only thing that matters, man, is to preach the gospel. Jesus is the only thing that's important. That's the only thing that's important. And then he doesn't whisper in your ear later, but I need you to sell more advertising. No. Jesus is, and he talks fast. That's why I'm doing that. Jesus is the most important thing. You know that's the most important thing. That's why we're there in Iowa, guys. You got to do that there in Iowa. Jesus is the most important thing. You got me? All right. Call me later. Bye-bye. It's nice to know that the head man thinks Jesus is the most important thing. All right. Ashley Foreman, youth leader, First Church of the Open Bible, services at 10 a.m., 24 years old. The only reason I say that is because I want people to recognize that you run with these people that you take. You are a youth, right? 24? Or am I just an old man thinking that? Do you think of yourself as a youth?
Kind of. This year I'll be 25, so
it's the quarter century mark.
I'm hitting the mark, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, and by the way, as you probably know if you listen to the show, but if you're new, I don't do pre-interviews. You and I talked on the phone, 4 minutes today?
Yeah.
And we've never met before.
Nope.
And the reason I do that is because, number one, I want to learn at the same time the audience does. And number two, I showed you a list of questions I was going to ask, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right there.
Oh, yeah.
How many are on there?
It's
None.
a blank page, yeah.
Yeah, because my next question is based on Ashley's last answer. And that's the only way to do an interview. If you ever talk to a radio host that says, oh, yeah, I've got all my questions written out, they're all written out, that's not an interview. That's a question and answer series. I want to know her answer because my question I thought was important. And then my next question is going to be based on her last answer because I thought what she said was important. Right along into Mac's World. Glad to have you here. It's also your voice we want to hear at 515-244-0077. You can also text us on the Truth Text line, brought to you by Service Legends at 515-809-0993. Jump right in, Robert Montserrat, when you got any texts or chats that you can share with us. All right, so we didn't prepare this before, so I'm going to hit you right off here. One word that your middle schoolers are the most afraid of. What is their fear? What are they terrified by deep down inside? The one thing.
Well, I think there's many things, but the first thing that came to mind is fear of the unknown.
Okay.
In this day and age, their generation, my generation, everything is at the tip of their hands. They can look up, anything on Google or YouTube. And in fact, I do it a lot. So I'll joke around with them, the things that I've YouTubed and Googled the past week. And there's things that they don't understand, like the things that Google can't answer, the things that YouTube can't answer. And they just don't know how to answer it. The spiritual things, the things that are in the Bible that they have to read the Bible for. And they're just afraid to go deeper with the Lord.
That's a great answer. So they're afraid to go deeper because the way in which they've learned to learn doesn't really work when it comes to a personal relationship with Jesus.
That's absolutely right.
They can't Google that. They can't text Jesus.
Isn't that fun? I mean, I'm sorry I laughed
But
but yeah, you say that out loud. You know, that really is interesting. You know, growing up in a world where you've always had the internet and at your literally at your fingertips, at your hands. Mm-hmm. That is interesting because there's no answer for the spiritual things. I guess you could Google who is God, right?
Yeah.
That gets you all kinds of weird
but
stuff.
I was going to say, you know, depending on who pays the most. I mean, everybody. I just want to say something because I was shocked when I learned this a few years ago. I thought when I Googled something, the truth came up. No, it's what somebody's paying for. It comes up.
Right.
And how do I know this? Because I do it. I pay Google to bring my radio programs to a higher level of exposure so more people can listen to them. I spend $20 a week and I increase maybe 1,000 listeners on the internet from doing that. Well, you better believe the guy that says the answer to who is God is there is no God. God is dead, and they continue with all this fantasy and spaghetti monster and in the sky stuff. They're paying to make sure that when you're 15-year-olds in your youth group Google who is God, they believe, oh, there is no God. Mm-hmm. That's interesting. You know, that's why your job's even more important, isn't it? Because if everything they learn is by Google, you've got to be the one that says, wait a minute, hold on, there's no Google in your heart. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about that personal relationship. You can't go to Google and say, my heart is hurting. My mom and dad are getting a divorce. Mm-hmm. My friends don't like me. I get bullied. I'm not comfortable in my own skin. I'm at this weird puberty thing, and I'm not short anymore, and I'm getting taller, and my voice is dropping, and my gosh, what are those things growing on me, and what's this fuzz on my face? Mm-hmm. You can't Google the answers for that. That's why youth leaders are so important. Mm-hmm. Anyway, you already know that.
Man, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, me or her?
Her.
Oh, thank
to
you.
Ashley.
Yeah.
So Ashley, what do you, I can tell that would be a fearful thing. Does that make them uncomfortable? Then you said they don't want to go deeper. So is it just scary to think about the things that the Google can't answer? I mean, is that part of what you're saying? I mean, are they just afraid of those unknown things?
Yeah, I think that's part of it. Another thing that I was saying while he was talking too is they say that my generation, and they're the younger millennials, I've heard people calling them now, is that they're the fatherless and motherless generation, the highest divorce rates ever in the world, or in our nation, and they don't have that spiritual mentor. They're not learning about God and the Bible and healthy relationships in the home. And so, you know, they go to Google this stuff and they don't even know what it looks like in person, let alone trying to find this. So when they come into thinking about a relationship with God, it's just a perplexed thing. They see religion and they see, you know, extremes like there is no God or I can do whatever I want and God's okay with it. So yeah, fear of the unknown, like what would happen if God really moved in my life? And what does that look like is a big thing. Well,
and maybe what I think I hear you say, Ashley, is tangible relationships too, right? I mean, and when I say tangible, right, those are the things we take for granted if we have those. If we have a physical relationship with someone, with a real person, it sounds like I'm talking about like a science fiction story, Bob. But you know what I mean? That because I know even so, I don't think I'm that old. I'm 38, and I noticed even more so that I probably spend more time looking at that little box in my hand than I should be when I've got human beings around me, all the more so probably for these young people. So did they find it difficult to connect without those devices?
I think they do to an extent. I think the phones and the tablets and the computers and stuff they do connect through social media, and it's kind of a different thing. They are connecting, but on a different level, but they still need that physical interaction, and I think that's what a lot of the students are missing nowadays.
What do you guys do to kind of help get them out of that box and get those relationships going there at First Church of the Open Bible? What are you guys doing?
Well, we meet Wednesday nights at 6:30, and we actually went through a series called Alpha, and it was a new module for us, and we're still currently doing it with another series. But it just asked life-based questions. We would watch a video, and then we would discuss together. The middle school would be together, and then the high school would go off and do their own thing. And we'd talk about the questions like, why do we trust the Bible? Why is homosexuality a sin? Stuff like that. Things that they're too afraid to ask, with people they wouldn't know. But, we build those relationships with them, and we hang out with them, and we just let them know it's a safe place they can ask questions, because that's what church should be, is a safe place to ask questions.
Now, did the same thing go through your mind that just went through mine? Probably not. Remember my dream of having a nightly show, okay? And so you and 3 or 4 or 5 other youth leaders, youth pastors, whatever you want to call it, maybe there's 10 of you, you guys would take care of like an hour on the radio every night at 9 o'clock. And it would be designed for kids to be able to call up and ask the questions that they can't ask their parents and they can't ask their pastors. The questions like you were just talking about. Why is gay sin? I've got so many friends of mine that's gay. My mother's gay. My uncle's gay. Why is that a sin? Why does it have to be a sin? Mm-hmm. Why is not going around having sex with whoever I want the cool thing? Because my older sister, that's what she does at Valley High, and she's one of the most popular girls there. So why is my church telling me that I should hold that sacred gift for the man or the woman I'm going to love? Mm-hmm. See, that's the show I want to do. She just tapped into that. These kids need a resource, a place they can go and almost be anonymous and ask those tough questions. That's why we have the text line. Somebody can call up, their voice isn't heard. Nobody's going to say, I heard you on that radio station the other day. Can you imagine calling up and asking a really embarrassing question, but you need the answer, and then somebody at work comes up and says, I heard you called in that station the other day. Yeah. That's why we do the text line at 809-0993. People can just call in and ask a question. And text in. And they'll never, text in and they'll never be identified.
So if they have those questions now, who do they go to for the answers?
Well, again, I think a lot of it is Google and YouTube. I actually had a youth student while we were going through another series saying that she looked up issues on YouTube, and I asked her, well, who are you listening to? She said, I don't remember. And that terrified me as a youth leader. There's crazy people out there that, they do drugs, they drink before they go on YouTube and just ran off, and it's supposed to be funny, but someone who's seriously looking for an answer comes across that, and it's terrifying.
Okay, so their source of information is a very poor source.
A very poor source.
Well,
yes.
And also, it's their peers.
Yes.
And their peers are, hopefully their peers getting it from someone like you or a pastor or church or responsible parents, but chances are they're getting it from somebody who's broken.
Yep.
And we're all broken, but this person hasn't found a savior yet.
Yep.
And so the answer that comes back is very earthly, very fleshy, very sinful, but it makes sense because it's prideful.
Yep.
And it makes me feel better if I think about that. Oh, you can just be you. However you want to be, you can be you, because this God that they talk about created you to be you, and you're a special snowflake. No, he created you to be who he created you to be. All right, Ashley Foreman is our guest. We're coming back. If you've got a question for her, man, here it is. Go. Text it in, 515-809-0993 or 515-244-0077. J. Michael McCoy, Chris, Bob, Ryan, and Ashley. And you, because you're the most important person here. Thanks for listening to The Truth.
Northern Lights Pizza's amazing garlic butter makes amazing breadsticks. Now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza. I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position is Chief Talent Officer.
I'm Nicholas Wonderscheid.
I am Bernie Homs.
And I'm the Service Manager.
Marketing Director and Client Relations Manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that we exceed your expectations.
Our clients are important to us. 100% satisfaction.
We're not just focused on heating and cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
Bottom line is, we've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed. Fixed rate or it's free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% money-back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fixing the problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still fixed right or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you come home, you realize that, oh, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends. We're staffed to work that.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning. You'll get one of our representatives answering the phone every time.
We're not sending you out to Timbuktu in some call center. It's our Service Legend team members, our mission control team.
I'll take a call anytime.
And then they answer the phones the same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to let somebody actually live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Are we going to freeze the pipes? Is the baby in the room next door going to be sick because they got too cold? When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a life. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Drug testing, we have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're going to make it right.
If we're willing to put 100% money-back guarantee on what we do, what type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
Enough said.
.438, 22 minutes before the top of the hour. Salem Radio Network News at the top of the hour. And then Ask Hank. 1-888-ASK-HANK. Ask Hank, the Bible Answer Man, live around the world. I'm not just trying to pump that up. Think about that. This is a live show around the world. We have people from all different countries calling up on this legendary show. How long has this show been around, Chris? Is this like 50 years?
The Bible Answer Man program has been around a long, long time.
Hank's been there 15, 20 years.
He's been there for a while. Before that, the key guy for it, the guy who really started the whole thing was Dr. Walter Martin.
Okay.
But anyway.
So it's 1-888-ASK-HANK and get stacked up. Don't wait till 5 o'clock to call because he can only take, a dozen or so calls in that time. And with calls coming in around the world, he's got to take them when he can get them. So get them in there. We're lucky enough to have texts and callers come around the world. We've got Ashley M., who is in Winston-Salem. And even though it's about the topic we were talking about last hour, about the debates last night, Bob, why don't you read that from the Service Legends text line?
Okay, it says, I split between Bush and Rubio for a time. In last night's debate, Cruz was okay. Rubio slipped a little, but I got out my checkbook and gave Kasich $50. Ashley M.
And that's the way it should work. It's the grassroots. It's the whole Bernie Sanders idea. If he wasn't such a socialist, I'd love the guy for his down-to-earth approach. Ashley, thanks for listening to Max World Live here on The Truth, 99.3. Have another lovely Ashley sitting in front of me, Ashley Foreman. She's one of the youth leaders at the First Church of the Open Bible. Services at 10 a.m., and you can hear Spencer Karoff. Is that 12:30 every day?
12:45.
12:45 every day, Monday through Friday. And we're talking about the kids. She is in charge of the middle school kids. And I ask her the question, what do you think they're most afraid of? And I don't want to put words in your mouth, but basically you said it's the stuff they can't find on Google. They don't know where to go. They've learned to get everything they want from Google. But those spiritual questions, who is God? Why does he love me? Does he love me? What are the rules in that relationship? What about religion? My mom and dad are always telling me that we belong to the Catholic religion. And I listen to your radio program, and I go to this youth group over at First Church of the Open Bible because my friend took me over, and I'm starting to hear about this word about relationship, that it's not about religion, it's about relationship with Christ. Can you share, no names please, no identifying information, can you share some of the conversations you've had with some of your kids that they have been really broken on something?
Yeah, one of the most heartbreaking conversations I've had, we usually break up in the middle school and pray for each other at the end. We'll split up in groups of 2 or 3. And I was with 2 girls this night, and one of the girls just asked me, her mom had committed suicide, and she asked why, if she's in heaven or not. And that was one of the hardest conversations I had to deal with. And, I knew her whole family personally, and it was just a rough question. And so there's a lot of brokenness in our youth ministry besides losing parents, divorce, the whole 9 yards.
So how did you answer that?
I personally believe, I was raised to believe that suicide was an automatic, like you're going to hell. But
that's not what the Bible says.
Yeah, exactly. I had never known exactly what it said because I never looked it up for myself. But it was about a year ago, actually, this week, that my friend had committed suicide. And
I'm sorry.
Like, I had known her, and she was a committed believer, and she just had a lot of mental health problems. She had lost her spouse, and just the past year, and I went over it, and if she really loved the Lord and there was a mental illness that made her incapable of dealing with her feelings, I don't believe that she would have gone to hell. She had a rock solid relationship with Jesus. I mean, obviously I don't know, I'm not God, but
I don't know if what it says on your business card, but in fine print somewhere, one of my classifications and identifications of what I do is fruit inspector. Mm-hmm. And I know you have to do that as a youth leader. You have to sit back and watch these kids that are around you, and you have to look at their fruit. Mm-hmm. And if that fruit's there, then if it matches into the Bible, then we know exactly where they're coming from. Mm-hmm. If you tell me this person that committed suicide was a devout follower of Jesus Christ, mental issues, that doesn't mean anything. That might have caused her to end this life. But you know where she's at. Mm-hmm. And I can only imagine the difference you could make in a young person's life by helping them know that the fact that their mother committed suicide does not automatically put them separated from God for eternity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I told her I think that her mother went to heaven because of that.
Yeah. And hopefully that helps her.
Yeah.
As a young believer. Ashley Foreman is my guest. She is the youth leader at the First Church of the Open Bible. They're at Beaver and Hickman. 10 o'clock in the morning on Sunday are their services. Now, you guys do Alpha.
Yes, we do it in different terms, I guess you'd call it. We did it last fall with our youth students, first time, and we actually took them on a Holy Spirit retreat.
Right.
Where Pastor Spencer actually taught them about the Holy Spirit, and it was a really awesome time. The students they went further in their relationship with Jesus than they had before then.
Good.
So it was a really cool
Alpha's
experience.
an amazing course.
Yes, and it's free, so it was.
Yeah. Are you going to offer it again?
Yeah, we're talking about doing it this fall again as well.
For the kids or for adults?
For the kids. We have done it with the adults prior years too, so I'd love to see it there too.
Yeah, and my guess is at First Church of the Open Bible, as it is at my church, Lutheran Church of Hope, you don't have to be a member to take Alpha.
No, not at all.
It's free. You gotta buy a $5 book. And it is the most incredible 12 or 13 week program you'll ever be in. And the only thing I can tell you is life will be different. Mm-hmm. It's interesting. I was telling a young person the other day about Alpha. And this young person, very smart, she looked at me and she said, "What if I don't want my life changed?" And I said, "You're not in control of that if you surrender it to Jesus. You can hold on to your life if you want, but you're going to get the life you deserve. And you deserve a crappy life. I mean, that's right. Yeah, if we got what we deserved, we would be very unhappy. Jesus' grace and mercy takes us far beyond what we deserve and gives us what we don't deserve. And that's from Jesus dying on that cross for every single thing that you've ever done, that you'll do today, and that you'll do tomorrow that isn't of God. It's called sinful nature. Don't think for one moment this word free will is some groovy thing that you picked up at the dollar store and I got free will. Because you know what you're doing when you're exercising free will? You're exercising your will, not God's. There's only one will, and that's God's. And everything other than God's will is sinful nature. And we got to take the time to teach our youth that if it feels good, they don't do it. You know, I always tell kids, just because you have the right to say it doesn't mean it's the right thing to say. All right, we're going to come back here in just a minute with just a few minutes left with Ashley Foreman. She's the youth leader at First Church of the Open Bible. If you'd like to ask Ashley a question, you may do so at 515-244-0077. And I know Chris has been quiet today, but he's playing with his phone like any good middle schooler would.
Yeah, I'm just trying to show you how a middle schooler feels. I'm trying to model that.
Yeah, you're over there kind of depressed and going through your phone and, texting your girlfriend.
The Google just doesn't have the answers, Mac. And
no.
I keep asking it, when is Mac going to stop talking? And it won't tell me when. It just doesn't. It doesn't say when.
I'll stop talking at 4:50, 8:40.
All right. How about, okay. Then who's going to talk?
Then Hank, the Bible Answer Man's going to talk.
Neat.
You are a poop today. Just a big poop.
Was I not supposed to say that, Bob?
We're coming back live here on The Truth. And thanks for listening to Mac's World. Only 8 more minutes to listen to me, and then you can all listen to Hank on 99.3.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast 1 Live.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Rockton Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens. Rock on. This is Pat McManus for Rockton Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
Northern Lights Pizza, your home of the tasty crust. Our garlic butter sauce now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast 1 Live.
10 minutes before 4 o'clock, 4:50 on the 4th day of March. I want you to know that I just leaned across the table. And this table is, 6 foot wide? And I tried to take Chris's phone, and he got it before I did. I feel very parental right now. Ashley Foreman is my guest. She's the youth leader at one of the youth leaders at the First Church of the Open Bible. That's Spencer Karoff's church. Spencer's on our radio station every day from 12:45 to 1 o'clock in the afternoon, right before Dr. Brown. Their church services on Sunday at 10 a.m. Maybe some good news about those coming up later in the month. We'll let you know. All right. I want to ask a tough question, okay? I know you can answer it, but Chris, you can't giggle like a little schoolgirl over there, okay? What's a 15-year-old thinking about with sex? The body's changing. You know, girls are no longer icky, and boys, that boy's kind of cute. You know, what's going on with sex when a 15-year-old?
Well, actually, I think most students by the age of 15 have already thought about sex long before we've come in contact with them. And a lot of times their parents haven't even explained that whole thing with them. I know my 6-year-old nephew has already seen pornography just playing on his mother's iPad and just stumbled across it, you know. And so when they come to us, you know, it's not a secret. We actually just went through a dating series with our teenagers talking about, you know, you want to work on yourself before and trying to be a better person before you find someone else, you know. And
I don't think that's anything your wife ever did, Chris, just to let you know.
But yeah, it's a 15-year-old they probably know just as much as you do about sex, if not more, because of the accessibility that they have through the internet, unfortunately.
Yeah, I was going to say that's something that Google knows all too much about.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What's that one program, Coventry Eyes? Is that
Covenant Eyes?
Covenant Eyes.
There's Covenant Eyes. Triple X Watch is another anti pornography
that you can install on your kid's computer, laptop, device, and then they can't go there.
Yep.
Yeah.
And actually, Apple has locks and parental locks now.
Okay.
So,
have you had any young girls get pregnant at your church that are in that 15-year-old range?
By the grace of God, no, we have not.
Okay.
I mean, it's not uncommon. I know people in other youth ministries that have. Actually, an old church. I used to live in Michigan, and we would go to Ohio.
Why?
Yeah, I don't know why.
Why? Michigan.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh boy, that's another sermon for another day.
Okay.
But yeah, I know some girls that were pregnant there, but yeah, fortunately, we have not had that in our youth ministry.
Yeah. When do kids still giggle when it comes to that stuff? Is it hard to get their attention and get them to focus that this is important?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay.
It's funny with middle schoolers; they'll have one of two reactions. They'll either get super awkwarded out by it, which is great, or they'll giggle and just whatever.
Yeah. Are you able? I'm specifically thinking about someone who would have been just like me at that age. And I was kind of a class clown, and so I would have, made a big deal out of it and probably verbally picked on, one of the kids that thought it was important to listen to, and, just been that not very nice guy. When you run into those kind of kids, what do you do? Because, Jesus walks within you. You can't just pick up a fly swatter and pop them up over the head.
Yeah, that can be difficult sometimes when students pick on each other. We try to keep it very open, and we let them ask questions, and we tell them repeatedly, like, if you have a question, you're not stupid. You can ask whatever you want. If there is anyone that makes fun of them, like, they're out of there. Like,
yeah, that's just
zero tolerance with that kind of stuff. So,
and do you call that bullying?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
Okay. Because can I share something with you on bullying? I understand that kids bully, but I don't think it's any worse than it ever was before. My parents taught me not to be offended. If I choose not to be offended or show offense to the bully, I'm not giving him the thing that he needs to continue to bully me, and he'll move down the road. Is that kind of conversation in today's generation discussed, or are we really just into stop the bullying?
I think as a whole, the church and the schools are definitely missing the mark on bullying. I went to Hoover High School, and I personally never dealt with bullying. I never saw it. Like, there are kids that didn't talk with other kids, but it wasn't like you see nowadays. And actually, a lot of people don't know about the bullying that goes on nowadays. And actually, when I lived in Michigan, we did anti-bullying school assemblies. I was in a discipleship program, and we didn't think it was a big deal. So we're, racking our brains, like, how do we relate with these middle school, high school kids that we did the assemblies for? And we did some human videos, and I talked about a bullying story, that how I picked on a girl, actually, when I was in middle school and didn't know her story. And just people were broken. Kids were so broken over it. And, we had no idea. And this was right when I came out of high school. I think just the last few years, it's really just taken a turn for the worse.
So it is getting worse.
Yeah.
I'm wrong when I say it's the same as it was 50 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Well, some of it, the way I've heard it, Ashley, and maybe you can speak to this too, is that one of the things that I never experienced growing up, believe it or not, being picked on myself a little bit, was that if someone walked up to me and said something to me that was rude or offensive or hurt me or whatever, and like what Mac is talking about, it's easy to not be offended and walk away because it goes away. Mm-hmm. But if somebody sends me a text or a tweet or a Facebook thing or something like that, whatever they said, it doesn't go away. Mm-hmm. That text I can delete it, but there's something about hearing it and seeing it. It's invasive, I think, in a way that's hard to relate to. When someone just says something mean to your face, you can kind of It seems like it's easier to blow it
everybody
off.
can see it.
Well, and they can make it multimedia. They can bully you in a multimedia way. How terrible is that?
That's exactly right.
I wonder how long it will be until our court systems deliver consequences to have to be off social media. Mm-hmm. If you're a bully and you constantly bully somebody, and that's because it will become a law. At some point, you will be charged with a misdemeanor for bullying somebody, and you'll go before a judge. And I wonder how long, just like they take away your driver's license, you don't drive well enough, you proved it over and over, you can't be on the internet. And if we find you on the internet, you're going to jail.
You broke the internet. Now you're off. You're banned from the internet. You broke it. You're out.
Well, you watch. All right, Ashley, thank you very much for being here. I appreciate it. I hope you come back.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
It was very enjoyable. Thank you.
It's great.
Okay, I'll talk to you all weekend. Great programming all weekend. We're on all weekend with local programming. We thank you for listening. And tonight, just do me a favor. Please, finally, lay that resentment down in front of the foot of Jesus and forgive that person that you've never been able to forgive. Because that's how God feels about you. He wants to forgive you too. But you are forgiven as you forgive. I'll see you at church.